Hey there. Barre chords are difficult for everyone at first, and for a good reason. They require completely different muscles and technique than open chords. Most people jump right into barre chords as soon as they need it. They come to a song where they need an F chord, and they start trying to make an F chord, and get frustrated pretty quickly. F chord happens to be one of the more difficult barre chords, and they've got no preparation. I know that's what I did, and then I got frustrated because it didn't sound good. It wasn't long before I started thinking, well, something's wrong with me. Other people can do it. Why can't I? Now, if this is anything like what's been going on with you, we're going to fix that today. I'm going to show you a series of 3 barre chord finger exercises that'll help you strengthen the muscle that you need to clamp and make that barre chord, as well as practice good technique. Let's do this. I know it may not seem like it right now, but one day barre chords are going to be easy for you. These 3 exercises that I'm going to show you are progressive. What I mean is one builds on the other. If you just do the first one, that's great, really. But if you can go on from there to 2 and 3, it'll just speed up your progress. Now, what we're after is building the muscle in your left hand that connects your index finger and your thumb, this clamping motion. Let's use the analogy of building any muscle. You know, when you go to the gym, you use weights to build muscle, and it's common knowledge. You start with the smallest weight, you get some progress, then you add a little more weight, you get some progress. Okay, it's not a perfect straight up, but you know, little by little over the years, you're going to build muscle as long as your diet's reasonable and you keep at it. In the same way, these exercises are going to start small, building this muscle, and then they'll build up little by little as this muscle gets stronger. I can tell you from years and years of experience, this really does work. You just have to be persistent. Even a little at a time works if you stay with it. So here's the first exercise. What we want to do is start with just the very first string. That's the thinnest string, the high E. And go from the 5th fret down and just see that you can get a nice clear note right there. If you can't, that's where you're at and you want to work on that. But for most people, that's not hard. The next part of this exercise is to press down 2 notes. Now you're actually making a little bar. To do this properly, you're going to have to put your knuckle up in the air a little bit and collapse your first knuckle. Now pluck those 2 notes. You could try it with me and just to see where you're at. Then what you want to do is go down a fret and do the same thing. And keep going down until you get all the way to the 1st fret, and then go back up to the 5th fret. Now that's one round. If these sound a little shaky or it takes you a little movement, that's where you're at, and that's what you want to work on, maybe for several days, as much as a week. Hopefully, in a week, you'll have it. But you're going for 80% of the time, nice, clean, clear notes. But if you're already there, or when you get to that place, now you're going to add a 3rd note. And this is where it gets interesting. Once you add that 3rd note, you're really going to have to pay attention to getting a good technique. You're going to have your thumb behind the neck, and that knuckle up in the air, and the first knuckle collapsed. So that's what it should sound like. Try that with me just now. And again, don't worry if it sounds good or not. It's just kind of think of it as a run through. My notes sound clean. They didn't always sound like that. So now when you're at this point, you do that same exercise. You basically play all 3 notes going down to the 1st fret and then back up. Okay, that was a fast version. You'll go slower than that. If it doesn't sound good, stop, do it again. Press and then release. Don't hold the finger down as you go on. Press like this. Press and then release. You're conserving your energy, but it is going to strengthen the muscle. It's also developing good technique. So you can see we're kind of working on the muscle and technique at the same time. Then you go down the fret and same thing. And then release. Down to the 3rd fret. And release, and so on. Now you want to do that for 2 or 3 minutes at a time. If your finger gets tired, just stop there and then relax and come back at it again or do it later. I found an exercise like this tends to work better at first if you do it several times a day. Do 2 or 3 minutes and then either in the same practice session or hours later, come back and do it again. It just speeds up your progress. You could do it once a day, it's just going to take longer. Now the main thing I want you to put your attention on as you do this is getting good, clean sounding notes. Don't do this and assume and just move on. Go ahead and spend a few seconds to get some clean sounding notes and then move on. This is critical that you get up to about 80% of where, it sounds perfect every time before you go on to exercise number 2. So that's it for exercise number 1. If this is enough for you, you can work on this and then come back to the rest. If you're ready, we'll go on to exercise number 2. Now in that first exercise, we focused on just the first 3 strings, which are the lightest strings, so the easiest to press down. Now you're building that muscle with smaller weights. It's also a very good exercise, too, for doing the partial bar chords, like this partial bar F. It's a great technique to have under your belt, not just for the partial bar F, but there are other chords that use that partial bar as well. In exercise number 2, we're going to stretch the finger all the way across. So now you've got 6 strings, more tension, more weight, so to speak. I'm going to start on the 5th fret, put my finger all the way across, so it's covering all 6 strings. I'm going to strike the 6th string, and then release. 5th string, and release. 4th string, and so on, all the way to the 1st string. Now, you can see if you hold your finger down, it's going to get tired pretty fast. This is a way of pumping that muscle and make it stronger without getting tired too fast. When you get to that 1st string, now you move down a fret and go the other way. Start with the 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th, and so on, all the way till you get to the 1st fret. Now, you guessed it, you go back up to the 5th fret, 1 fret at a time. Work to get a nice, clear sounding note. Good? Not good. Okay, that was better. You see what I'm doing? It's just a little time to get it right before moving on. If you did the first exercise, you'll find this actually not too difficult. Now here's some tips that will help you. First of all, when you put your bar over the strings, make sure they're nice and close to the fret. Not on top, but as close as you can get. It'll be easier to get a nice clear sound that way. Also, roll your finger back that way just slightly. It will help make your finger more rigid. And to supplement the muscle of clamping down, pull your arm back just a little bit. What you're doing is putting a little pressure on the neck, and it'll help relieve just a little bit of that tension in your hand. By the way, it's okay to let your other fingers help, the 2nd and the 3rd finger on your left hand. Don't worry about cheating. That's not the issue here. The main thing you're after is to practice getting good, clean sound as you press each of the strings down. Okay, with that, let's go on to exercise number 3. The 3rd exercise is just like the first one, except instead of just 3 strings, you're putting your finger across all 6. So you can see, unlike exercise number 2, where you're going to pluck just 1 string at a time, you're going to pluck all 6 strings. It looks like this. Starting on the 5th fret, getting good position near the fret, finger rolled back a little bit. I'm tucking my elbow in just slightly. Strike, and then release. Again, a short burst. Like that. Okay, down a fret. Down a fret. Down a fret. And down a fret. Now I'm going back up. That was 1 round, so to speak. And for extra credit, you can name the notes on the 6th string. Why would you want to do that? Well, a lot of bar chords take the name of the bar chord from the note on the 6th string. There's others that use the 5th string, but let's start with the 6th. So the exercise now looks like this. A, that's the A note. A flat, I'll call flats going down. G, 3rd fret. G flat. F. You're going to need that one a lot. Back up. I'm going to call it F sharp now. F sharp's the same as G flat, but I'll do sharps going up, flats going down. G, G sharp, and A. Okay, I'm going to stop there as far as the exercises go, but of course you realize you can do that whole thing all the way up and down the neck. Depends on where you're at. I'd really encourage you to just do the first 5 frets to start, and you can always expand later if you need a little extra challenge. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hey, if you need some more help with bar chords, I've created a completely free guide to help you with that. It's called Barre Chords, the Ultimate Guide. Convenient, huh? There, you'll learn to play, practice, and use those bar chords effectively. I'll put a link in the description below this video. I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully soon. Bye for now.